Chief Jim Hopper from Stranger Things is beloved by pretty much everyone that's ever seen Stranger Things, but I couldn't for the life of me tell you why, because I hate him with a burning fiery passion. And today I'm going to talk about it. I need to talk about it before season 5 comes out, or I'm going to lose my mind. I have been a certified hater from the start, from the first time we meet him in season 1. And granted, after that point, for the rest of season 1, he did actually seem to be a good person. Like, he just sort of switched it up and became good and like a good cop, if there is such a thing, and helped to find Will and revive him, and did eventually believe Joyce and all of that, which is great. But that first impression was far more true to his character than anything else we saw that season. Because, and I'm not going to hold your hand when I say this, he is an abuser and a war criminal. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about it because someone's gotta. I can't find the haters. Where are the haters, guys? If you hate him, please get into comments and soothe my poor brain, because I'm losing my mind. Why do people love him? He's awful. Anyway, I'm going to go through this chronologically for the most part. So, episode 1. Our first impression of Hopper is that he's a slob. He's just kind of there and gross. It's just a gross man. Okay? And then we see that he is quite late to his very important job as the chief of police. And he doesn't give a singular fuck. Not one. He's just like, ugh. Guess I'll go smoke now.
That's not great. But then he gets to work, makes fun of, I was going to say client, please don't get, just one of the people who had a crime to report. And he's just like, I don't really care, actually. I don't care about that crime.
While you were drinking or sleeping or whatever it is you deem so necessary on Monday morning, Phil Larson called, said some kids are stealing the gnomes out of his garden again.
Oh, those garden gnomes again. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get right on that.
And then he's told that his friend's son, his friend's 12-year-old boy child, is missing. And he says,
Okay, I'm going to get on that. Just give me a minute.
Joyce is very upset.
Flo, we've discussed this. Mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
Chief, she's
Coffee and contemplation. Flo.
i.e., he doesn't want to hear about it until later. It's just like, oh, fine, please. It'll be fine. I don't care. I don't care about the missing boy child. I'm like, sir, that's bad. What's wrong with you? And like, Joyce is supposed to be his friend, right? I know that sort of continues later on, but they went to school together. You know, they were friends. They know each other. He should know her son, logically. So then, of course, he gets into his office. Joyce is there. She's reporting the missing boy, and he just sort of doesn't take her seriously at all. He's just like, oh, you know.
Look, a boy his age, he's probably just playing hooky. Okay?
No, not my Will. He's not like that. He wouldn't do that.
Well, you never know. I mean, my mom thought I was on the debate team, and really I was just screwing Chrissy Carpenter in the back of my dad's old deals.
Probably just run off somewhere. Maybe he's screwing someone in a car, and I'm like, he's 12. 12-year-old we're talking about, Jim. That's weird. It's a weird thing to say. And he does not even start to care or take this seriously until Joyce suggests that Will is possibly gay, and Hopper goes, oh, so this could be a hate crime, actually. And that's when he clocks in.
Look, he's a sensitive kid. Lonnie used to say he was queer, called him a fag.
Is he?
He's missing, is what he is. Trust me.
Joyce, 99 out of 100 times, kid goes missing. The kid is with a parent or a relative.
What about the other time?
What?
You said 99 out of 100. What about the other time?
Joyce.
The one! The one!
Joyce, this is Hawkins, okay?
Now, the next clip that I have of him, which I believe is also season 1, but could be 2, is of him calling his ex-wife, which he's not allowed to do. They're exes for a reason. She'd set boundaries. It's very clear from their conversation that she does not want him to be calling her.
Jim,
Yeah,
why are you calling me here? I told you not to call me.
I know.
It's also suggested that this is a repeat behavior of his, that he'll call her whenever he's drunk. He's not, but it's something that he does, and she just has to deal with every time, which is shit.
No.
Here's what's ultimately really, really bad about this scene, okay? It's established quite early on that Jim had a young daughter who died a couple of years before. And he calls the wife, and he tells his ex-wife,
Even after everything that happened, I don't regret any of it. And those 7 years, they were everything to me.
which, when we first hear that, doesn't sound completely atrocious. Because it's like, yeah, you had a baby and you loved her and she died, and it's like you still got to love her, and that was an important part of your life and your family, right? No, wrong. Wrong. Crimes. War crime. We'll come back to it, okay? But I want you to remember this moment. That he tells her, I don't regret any of it. It's evil. That is an evil thing to say. That is it's so cruel. So then I'm just going to skip over the rest of season 1 because he didn't do anything else. He had character development, which then, of course, got completely reset at the start of season 2. After that, for most of season 2, it's about his fatherly relationship to Al and his potentially budding romantic relationship with Joyce, which I hate. I hate both of these things, okay? Because he's evil. He's an evil man. So Elle was horribly abused her entire young child life. Just terribly. She grew up in a lab with Papa, Dr. Brenner, as the closest thing she had to a dad, and he was awful and cruel and evil and abusive. He was just a horrible human being. And that's all she knows until she's about 11, when she escapes. And then she's on her own for a while. And then her new father figure is Hopper, who then proceeds to abuse her. Sometimes in similar ways to the way that Dr. Brenner abused her. And, there are lots of different types of abuse, and they're all evil. They're all cruel and so incredibly difficult and painful and traumatic to deal with. And this poor child has gone through so much. Like, I can't even fathom. And then they seem to start off okay with him taking her in and, teaching her words because she's somewhat illiterate, and like feeding her and clothing her and, giving her a bed, and was like, great, cool. Yeah, you're housing her, you're raising her now. She's like the kid, kind of. Except then he gets the evils again. He gets the evils again. And there's going to be a lot of clips in this video. And most of them are going to be, I think, in season 2 with Elle and Joyce, because it's absolutely horrendous. The things that he does and the things that he says to her are insane. Now, 11 has superpowers, which is a godsend in this situation because it gives her some semblance of protection from him, because Hopper is a big man and he can be very, very scary. I'm watching these scenes and I'm like, I'm scared. I'm scared for her. I'm scared for me just watching it, because I'm very easily scared by men. It's like if any man shouts ever, I'm afraid. right? But this was profoundly terrifying. He's big and he's loud and he's angry and it makes me so mad. Elle starts acting out because she's sick of him breaking his promises to her.
Hey, kid, open up, all right? Look, I know I'm late. I got candy here, all right? I got all the good stuff. Please, will you open the door? I'm gonna freeze to death out here.
Elle, could you please open the door? Elle?
All right. I'm just gonna be out here by myself eating all this candy. I'm gonna get fat. It's very unhealthy to leave me out here. Could have a heart attack or something.
And being cooped up in this tiny cabin alone. She only ever sees Hopper. She's like 12 years old. She wants to see her friends and have any kind of socializing, which is important for children as they're growing, and it's something that she'd already been deprived of in the lab, which is probably why she can barely speak, is that she didn't get socialized like a normal child would. And now she's still being deprived of that by Hopper. He keeps telling her that she can't go out because it's not safe. Yeah, but he says, yeah, he's like, oh, you can leave soon. You can see your friends soon. You can see Mike soon. And it never happens. And she's losing her mind, gang. She's struggling so much in this cabin all alone with literally all she has for any kind of pastime and entertainment is the television. And she's using that to learn more words, to learn social cues. It's her entertainment and it's her school. It's all that she has. And I want you to remember that because it's going to come back. She can't read. She doesn't have books. And, you know, he's out at work most of the time. So she's all on her own. That's horrible. She's like Rapunzel. She's literally like Rapunzel in a tower in the ceiling, okay? So, of course, she starts to act out and she does leave. She leaves when she wasn't supposed to. And I'm like, it wasn't the safest thing to do. But she was desperate. And he does not give her any grace or understanding. As soon as she comes home, he's a big, scary man. He's a scary, angry man. It's like immediately in his posture, in the way he's moving. Before he even opens his mouth, you're like, oh, that's a scary man. That's a man who could hurt me if I didn't have superpowers. Anyone else would be running for the fucking house. But she is so brave and superpowered and still desperate. Like, he's still all that she has. So she goes back in and he screams at her. He yells. He chases her. He bangs on her door. He makes her jump. He makes her flinch. When she's in her bedroom, he physically blocks the exit so that she can't get past him, she can't get out, she can't escape.
He didn't see me.
Yeah,
That's terrifying.
Your daughter did. You put us in danger. You realize that, right?
You promised I'd go, and I never leave. Nothing ever happens.
Yeah, nothing happens and you stay safe.
You lie.
I don't lie. I protect and I feed and I teach. And all I ask of you is that you follow 3 simple rules. 3 rules. And you know what? You can't even do that! You have got to understand that there are consequences to your actions.
You are like Papa.
Really? I'm like that psychotic son of a bitch?
He tells her that she's a brat and he threatens to send her back to the lab where she was abused all her life. He says that to her.
All right. You'll go back in the lab? One phone call, I can make that happen.
I hate you.
Yeah, well, I'm not so crazy about you either. You know why? Because you're a brat. You know what that word means? How about that be your word for the day, huh? Brat. Why don't we look it up? B-R-A-T. Brat.
He also takes away her safe food of Eggos. Now, I think she's certainly autistic coded. It will be a lot to do with her upbringing as well, with, again, the lack of socialization, but she still reads as very autistic, and he takes away her safe food, and then he takes away the TV.
And no TV for
Her
a
own
week.
things.
All right, knock it off. Let go. Well, congratulations. You just graduated from no TV for a month
He
to no
physically
TV
breaks the
at
TV
all.
so that she has absolutely nothing left in the world.
No!
And I want him to die. I want him to just suffer and die in a hole alone. That's what I want for him, okay? And he's so awful and so fucking terrifying in these fights that he gives her a meltdown. Or possibly a panic attack. But she breaks down crying, having had to physically force him away from her with her powers to shut the door, and is holding it shut with her mind to stop him from having access to her. She breaks down. She's blows out all of the windows with her mind because she's just scared. She's so scared and angry and distressed, and it's horrible. And the next day, he goes up to her door. And you can see that he starts to think about apologizing for his behavior, which would be the bare minimum that he could do, is apologize for how he treated her the previous day. And some times before that, I'm getting a bit mixed up with my order, to be honest. And instead, he tells her that he wants the cabin cleaned up by the time he gets home from work.
I want this place cleaned up by the time I get back, and then maybe I'll consider fixing the TV.
Meaning he's just told this 12-year-old to clean up a shit ton of broken glass on her own. Broken glass is sharp. It's dangerous. You don't make a child do that. If glass is broken, the grown-up cleans that up. That's their responsibility, no matter who broke it. Like, this man is insane. And evil. Did I mention that? He's fucking evil, okay? So he takes this horrendously abused child, makes her think that she's safe, and then abuses her some more. Moving on to season 3. And again, got mixed up before. This is where Joyce comes into it, really. Okay. I just want to say, before I get into this, I love Joyce. And I also relate to her a lot. And there are some things that she does that I disagree with, and I'm thinking, girl, that needed an apology. Okay? But most of the time, she's just a fucking legend, right? And all of the goodness of her completely overshadows those small things that she does that are a bit shitty. Which is a completely different story to Hopper. So season 3 starts off nice and strong with breaching his daughter's privacy, making her leave the door open. I know plenty of families do this where they're like, oh, they have an open door policy with the kids, and they're like, oh no, you can't have boys up there. You can't have boys in your room and close the door. What if you're kissing? But I completely disagree with that. I don't think that's okay. Everyone is entitled to their privacy, regardless of their age. So he does that. So they've got the 3-inch door gap policy, which comes up a lot, and it's later played off as like a cute thing. It's a cute thing that they do. It's not cute. It's not cute. It's him being a little bit evil again, right? He is incredibly controlling and scary still, not just toward Elle now, but also towards Mike.
Hey! Hey! 3-inch minimum! Leave the door open 3 inches! Elle, open this door. Open.
And he makes this boy think that his grandmother is very ill in order to get him out of the house.
Is everything okay?
No, I don't think so. It's your grandma.
Is she dead?
No.
Did she fall again?
No.
Does she have cancer?
No.
Then I don't understand what's wrong with Nana.
And then he locks him in the car with him to threaten him and be a big scary man.
Nothing. There's nothing wrong with Nana.
What?
And just be a little bit evil. Again.
But there's something very wrong with this thing between you and Elle.
Are you lying, piece of shit? You're crazy.
Crazy. You want to see me crazy? You disrespect Nana. Okay. Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna drive you home, and I'm gonna speak, and you are going to listen. And then maybe by the end of it, maybe if you're lucky, maybe I will continue to allow you to date my daughter. Not if you understand.
Hello. It's now been about 2 weeks since I filmed the first part of this video and then thought, oh, I'm a bit tired now, I'll just come back tomorrow. Tomorrow I was sick, and I've been sick the entire time because Aunt Body's fun. And so it's now 3 days until season 5 drops, so I'm just gonna sit and yap and try not to perish. But if I look or sound at any point like I'm about to die, I feel like it. Thank you so much for your concern. On a positive note, I now have a different microphone that should hopefully work and not echo or turn itself off randomly at any point. So, aren't you a lucky sausage? So, anyways, season 3, Hopper's being a shitbag. Are we ready? So I'm not sure at this point how I'm going to edit this part of the video because I have once again done things in the wrong order. So I know that I've talked about how how Hopper was with Mike, which is later, so sorry. So before the last thing that I talked about, Hopper goes to Joyce about being frustrated with Mike and Elle's relationship, and she is fed up with him. She's fed up. She sees him. He doesn't even say anything, and she just goes, "What now?"
Hey,
Wait, you busy?
you're our first customer, so what now?
I'm like, yeah, same girl. Seriously, what? You're really putting up with some bullshit right now. So he rants to Joyce. He sort of uses her like a therapist and sort of gets her to teach him how to be a parent and how to talk to children, which is nuts because he should know that already because he's been a parent before. He does the weaponized incompetence to Joyce to the point of she then writes the speech to Mike and Elle for him, which I'm like, girl, you do not need to do that. I'm so sorry, babes. He also says,
Maybe you just kill Mike. I'm chief of police, I could cover it up.
I'm not sure I need to make a comment on that. I feel like that should be self-explanatory about everything that's wrong with that statement. But just in case it's not obvious to anyone, that's corrupt cop core again. That's an insane thing to say. He is constantly abusing his power as the police chief, and being horrible and a shitbag to everybody ever. Pisses me off, for goodness sake. Anyway, at the end of his chat with Joyce, where she's been very, very patient and helping him and being supportive because she's lovely, he then hits on her. Quick reminder, at this point, Joyce is grieving. It's been, I think, about a year since her boyfriend, her lovely, lovely, lovely boyfriend, who we love, Bob, perished in a horrible manner before her eyes, and in a way that was likely preventable had he continued to run. Anyway, she's grieving. We see that she's still grieving because after that we get this clip.
I just wish they'd get back together again already.
Me too.
Where she obviously still misses him and she's sad. I'm like, my poor baby. My poor girl. She's all alone. But yeah, Hopper hits on her when she's put her hand on his to be comforting and supportive. And he then, like, flips it round to be romantic and asks her out. He's like, you and me tonight for dinner at Enzo's, 7 p.m. What do you think? And she's like, visibly uncomfortable, retracts her hand, makes an excuse, and then, like, as soon as this customer walks in, grabs the opportunity to be like, bye, gotta go serve this customer. And I'm like, yeah, go, get away from him, run. Fucking prick. Joyce has been in an abusive relationship before with Lonnie. We know this. This is canon, this is fact. Because Lonnie was also a massive shitbag. I mentioned this here because it's going to come up again, right? Because of a little thing called the cycle of abuse. So Hopper has once again found someone who has been previously abused and targeted them, right? He's seen Joyce, he'd be like, oh, this is a vulnerable person that I can set my sights upon. And it's creepy, and I hate it, and I hate him. Anyway, we then move on for a while. Because she's rejected him and he's got things to do, I guess. Cut to after his conversation with Mike and Elle. Mike doesn't show up the next day. Elle's sad, disappointed, confused, befuddled even, as to why her boyfriend is suddenly not present when he's, up until this point, seemingly been the only person to ever visit her for some reason. What's that about? And he sees his child being disappointed and smiles, and he goes and he celebrates. He sings in his car. He's like, oh, you don't fuck around with Jim? No, you don't, because I'm the chief of police and I can kill a child if I want to. And so he's happy that his daughter is upset. He then goes and tells Joyce, no, he doesn't. He goes and misleads Joyce about how that chat went down, because she's like, oh, it went well.
And you didn't yell at him.
Right? And he's like, oh, I'll tell you after dinner. Over dinner, rather.
I'll tell you everything over dinner. I was thinking, Enzo's tonight, 7 o'clock.
Asks her out again. Because he can't take a fucking hint, apparently. And then, when she's hesitant, because of course she is, he says, now, it's not a date. Don't worry about that. It's not a date. It's just two friends getting together over dinner to have a conversation about their children. That's something we can do. To manipulate her into going out with him. Obviously, he does mean it as a date, because we've seen afterwards, when she finally agrees to go out, that he did mean it like that, right? So he lies to her and he manipulates her into going out with him. He then gets called to go and do his fucking job and says that he's busy flirting, I guess. I'm like, do your fucking job. A bit later, Flo lovely Flo, we love Flo, gets him this shirt that he wanted for the not a date, right? And he doesn't thank her. And that was just a little thing, but it pissed me off because Flo is underappreciated. She puts up with all of his bullshit and he never gets any thanks from him or anyone for that matter. So justice for Flo. He then goes to Enzo's for their meal. He wears his fancy new shirt and he orders wine and he's all smug like, ooh, I got the girl to go out with me. She doesn't know it yet, but I did it. And then obviously Joyce has been distracted by the magnet thing because she's scared that the children are once again in danger with the Upside Down. At this point, I will say she should definitely have called him to let him know that she was busy. If you miss a date with someone, you should apologize for that. That's one of the things I was gonna say. So I was like, yeah, you can be mad about that. However, his actions. Okay. So when he is out the restaurant, it's my chair. I was like, what's that noise? It's me. He's at the restaurant. He is getting progressively more drunk and aggressive, and he is very, very rude to the waitstaff and to the entire clientele because he's being rowdy and drunk in this fancy place and bumping into people and not giving a fuck. And once again, he says, when he's told you can't take alcohol off the premises by the very polite waiter, by the way.
I'll do anything I want. I'm the chief of police.
I'm not sure there's anything more to say about that I haven't already said. So I'm just going to move on. He gets home drunk and angry and yelling. He sees that Elle's door is closed and the music's on. Because she's in there with Max, and he thinks that Mike is back. He goes in and he's like, hey, big scary man here. It'll be a big scary man, and barges in. And they're just like, dude. Like, props to them for not being frightened or flinching or anything. Like, those girls made of metal, I swear to God. I'd be running for the hills. So, yeah, he goes and scares the children and is gross. Like, I've literally just got on my little bit of paper, is gross. There's a shot of him just taking off his shoes so we can see his feet, and I'm like, I'm not here for that. I don't want to see his feet. I'm good, thanks. Can we not? I don't want more shots of him just being a gross man. Like, that's just not something that I want my eyes to witness. Anywho, next day, more shots of him being gross and not being able to drink milk without getting it all over his face. Just ugh. Just ugh, honestly. Anyway, Joyce gets there and he's being immediately very aggressive and patronizing and jealous. And so she's there. As I said, I understand that he would be cross about being stood up, but this is an overreaction and it's crazy. And she is obviously stressed about the prospect of the Upside Down being back because of the magnet thing. As soon as she mentions that she went to someone else for help, he's like, oh, is he single too? Is he single? And you stood me up on our date and this and that, which is where we get the confirmation, and Joyce gets the confirmation that he did mean it as a date, and that this is his reaction to the date not going, and her not being interested in him it's disgusting. It's a disgusting man reaction. He invalidates all of her concerns, and he's very immature. He said, I've got a quote for you. Let's chuck that one on the floor. I'm done with that one.
Well, I think when I asked you out, you got scared, and now you're inventing things. My brother in Christ. Joyce is never wrong. When something weird is happening and she goes, hey, that's weird, it's weird. She's correct. She's correct. So listen to her when she said something's fucking up the magnets and I'm frightened. So for him to say, oh, you're inventing things, but that's raw fuck ass man. But also the fact that he acknowledges, when I asked you out, you got scared. I'm like, yeah, you're a scary man. And she rejected you, and you asked her again. Fuck off. Next. I told you there was going to be a lot in season 3. It's horrors. Absolute horrors. They go in and check out the crack in the wall. The fuck is it called? The gate. The original gate. To see if she's maybe onto something. And most of this scene is fine, except for the part where he is like, oh, did you think I wouldn't find out that you were planning on moving? I'm like, that's not your business. That's not your business. Stay out of her business, sir. Like, just fuck off. Let this woman feel safe. Goodness sake. I've got written down abuses power again. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but I do believe it. It's possibly when he goes into see the mayor without an appointment and then threatens and tortures him. Because that's the next note. I'm guessing it's related to that. Because that's, a reasonable thing to do. It's reasonable behaviour. Just to threaten and torture someone. Sure, Hopper. We then get confirmation that he has previously covered for the mayor's drug use and cheating. That's the abuse of power. Sorry. I'm with it. I know what's going on. I don't have brain fog. So he's used his power to cover up for the mayor being a shitbag. The mayor then tells us that it's known that Hopper has also had drug use and has drunk on duty, and that there's plenty of stories they have about that. I don't know what that means, but I'm alarmed. I mean, I'm not surprised that he's drank on duty. We've probably even seen it, but because he drinks a lot, and I don't know if he's ever off duty being the chief. I don't know. But anyway, that was gross. And they're all corrupt and horrible. Moving on to when he goes and finds these Russian engineers, I want to say. It's Alexei and some other guy. I don't know what happens to the other guy. Maybe he died. I don't know. There's shooting involved, so he might have died. But he barges in with Joyce, and he's just like, I'm saying something in English. And they're like, Russian? Russian. And he's like, English! You understand me too? Talking English, I can't understand you! Pointing the gun at them, and I'm like, they don't speak English.
English! You speak English?
Пожалуйста, сэр, опустите пистолет.
I can't understand you!
Мы ничего плохого не делали, ничего нелегального. Мы
So yeah, he yells at the Russian people and threatens them when there's clearly nothing they can do about that. They can't suddenly know English. Like, the fuck? Then that other Russian guy who can speak English comes down, and Hopper puts a gun to his head and he's like, I'm going to shoot you if you don't do this or whatever, or tell me something. I don't remember. It's not important. He says, you're not going to do that because you're a policeman and policemen have rules. And Hopper says, you want to test that theory? Sir, you should have rules. You should. The Russians should be right in this regard. But alas, Hopper is a very corrupt policeman. And therefore rules apparently don't apply to him, and he gets away with everything. And I hate that. I hate it so much. They're escaping. He's got Alexei. Poor Alexei. We love Alexei. Justice for Alexei as well. Alexei and Flo, my beloved. He chucks the keys to the car at Joyce, except he actually throws them onto the floor and then yells at her for not catching it when he didn't give her really a chance to, and then chucked them on the floor. And then she's like, oh, what the fuck, it's dark, where's the key? Okay, I've got the key, I'm trying to start the car, these aren't my keys, and there's too many keys on this key ring. And he's yelling at her, drive, and I'm like, shut up, Hopper, shut up, leave the poor woman alone. He then talks to her like she's stupid.
Keep it in park, please.
Yeah, duh.
And nearly blows her up in the car, because he blows the car up and she's in it. Yeah, he nearly fucking killed her. And then a bit later, he acts like the nearly killing her thing was a dumb thing for her to be upset about. One moment. But before that, as they're walking along after that, because he's killed the car, she says,
God, can you not walk so close?
What?
Can you not walk so close to me? You stink.
oh my getting cold. Freedom to filth. Oh my goodness. I love you. So yeah, once again, a sign that she is not romantically interested in him. I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm not sure she's platonically interested in him. He's just pissing her off, like, all the time, because he's a shitbag. So yeah, and then he's acting like she's ridiculous for being upset about blowing up the car with her in it.
I get it. You're upset, right? Because I blew up the car?
Yeah, with me in it.
Well, I just want to remind you of something, Joyce. I am not a mechanic.
Yeah, clearly. That's why you should listen to Alexei.
And then he's like, ooh, is Alexei your new boyfriend? Does that whole spiel again about, like, her not being able to speak to a man without him being her boyfriend, and being really jealous about men who are actually nice to her and respectful to her, unlike Hopper. Won't let the Enzos thing go.
Right, yeah. Your new boyfriend, right?
Because every man I talk to from now on has to be my boyfriend.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit of a Russian Scott Clark.
Oh, here we go.
Maybe you should go on a date. I don't know. I'm thinking like Enzo's.
So that whole section of that episode just really bothered me. And then the last thing in season 3 that was crappy was he straight up steals someone's car. But he doesn't. This man is called Todd. Todd doesn't know how to get his car back from this random cop that's taken his car, because Hopper doesn't tell him which station to call. And I'm like, okay, you could have done this by the book, because I do think that at least in America, that's something that they can do, is they can commandeer a vehicle. I don't know about here. I don't know what the rules are with that, but he obviously doesn't follow the rules. So he just steals someone's car and also kidnapped Alexei.
Dude!
And then finally, the last thing I want to mention in season 3 isn't actually Hopper, but Murray. Murray's bullshit, okay? Because Murray hears Joyce and Hopper fighting, because they're always fighting, because Hopper's abusive and Joyce has no patience or tolerance for this crap. And he's like, oh, you're sexually attracted to each other and you should just fuck. No, this is Murray. This is one-sided. We have not seen, up until this point, in all of the seasons, any sign that Joyce is in any way interested in Hopper. Ever. It's just him. It's just him being pushy and her fighting him for being pushy. So I hate that he said that. I hate that that's a trope that these kinds of relationships get romanticized when they're not romantic. They're just abusive. It's horrible. So yeah, I think that was the end of season 3. Whole thing
or pull over, tear off those clothes, and get it over with already!
There's not much content for this in season 4, but there is the one big bad thing, or like 1.5 big bad things, okay? Because, actually, can I just mention real quick, I wish Hopper had died and stayed dead. I hate fake out deaths so much. It's like, if you're gonna kill someone, it's like for the story, for emotional impact, for like the character arcs and growth and stuff. If you kill someone and then suddenly make them not dead, that takes away all of the impact that had. And it's dumb. And that's why also that I think that Max has to live and be brought back or whatever in season 5, because I think if they were going to kill her, they should have just killed her at the end of season 4, as that was happening. Like, she died. So if she was going to die, she should have stayed dead there. I don't want Max to die, to be clear. I love Max. I don't want anyone except for Hopper to die in this show. Yeah, so they undid any impact that could have had. But, you know, I was there watching it and, like, hating Hopper, obviously, because... Oh, hold on. I've gotten warm. This is my backup microphone in case anything does happen with this one. Hopper... Oh, right, yeah, he should have stayed dead. He should have stayed dead. I think that was it. He should have stayed dead. I wish he'd just be dead. So he reaches out to Joyce, knowing that would put her in danger with the Russians. And, you know, he weighed up his options and he did it anyway, which was bad. He shouldn't have done that. Once he hears that Yuri has betrayed them, he's like, oh, I put Joyce in danger and now she's captured and probably dead. And he immediately gives up on her. And Enzo, whose name is not Enzo, Dimitri is then like, oh, you can't give up now. What about your woman, huh? What about your woman? And I'm like, okay, she's not his woman. But also, yeah, you're fucking right. What about Joyce? Like, really? This is your fault and now you're just going to give up on her, you piece of shit?
You were right what you said last night. I knew the risks. Breaking out of here, but I did it anyway. The minute I sent for Joyce, the minute I sent for her, I sentenced her to death.
So that's a whole thing. But here's where it gets really bad, okay? The final thing on the many, many, many pieces of notepaper, right? We find out when Hopper is sat in this Russian prison, Hopper made Agent Orange. Agent Orange. He sits there and he says, when I was 18... Now, first of all, look, I don't blame him for being 18 and believing his government. Let's just be clear about that. It's the following that pisses me off. Okay. He says, I was 18, I went to the army or wherever, and...
Kid, you know, I'm 18 years old, I'm 8,000 miles away, and I'm mixing up these 55-gallon drums of Agent Orange. Just these kitchen gloves, you know. We used to clean out these Buffalo turbines after a run. We'd just be inhaling this stuff. No mask, nothing.
I was one of the people making gallons and gallons of Agent Orange, and they said it was a fertilizer and that it was harmless. And he says that we were mixing it up, me and my American comrades, with like washing up gloves or something and no PPE. So when people went home, he's like, oh, all my friends, my good American comrade friends, they started having babies, and they were born stillborn or deformed.
Kids born stillborn, dead in the womb. Crooked spines, eyes popped out. The horror followed us, clung to us.
And at no point does he recognize the immense harm that this chemical weapon did to the Vietnamese people. He only talks about his American friends. That's the war crime, okay? Do you remember the war crime? That's the war crime. He helped to murder 400,000 people. Okay? Agent Orange killed 400,000 people. And to this day, when they've done like blood tests on like several generations later, and it is this chemical is still in people's blood. It is still affecting people. Like, the impact of this chemical cannot be understated. But he is only concerned about himself and his friends, not what they did to some people on the other side of the world. Like, that's insane. What the fuck is wrong with this man, okay? He then, so he knows the impact that that's had on his friends and the risks, the much, much heightened risks of himself having a biological child. He knows that the baby could be stillborn. He knows that his wife could miscarry, that it could be born with really horrible, painful conditions. And he doesn't tell his wife. He doesn't tell his wife. He knows, and he doesn't tell her about the risks. Therefore, not giving her the option of informed consent.
I knew the risks, but I hid them. And then Diane left me. She didn't blame me, but not with words.
Which is what I was talking about when he called the wife back in season 1. So if you'll remember, if you cast your minds back, he told her he doesn't regret any of it. And that is why that was a horrible thing to say. Because they had their daughter, the missus not knowing anything about this. And she seemed like she was going to be okay for the first few years. And then she got really ill and she died. And Hopper says himself that it was not an easy death. So because he could not take responsibility for his actions and be open and honest with his partner, they had this child, and it was his fault that that child suffered and died. It was his fault that the wife, the mother, had to watch her baby suffer and die. That was because of him and his actions. They didn't have to go through that. He could have told her the truth. They could have decided together to do it anyway. I don't know why they would, given the risks. But they could have adopted. They could have had a donor. They could have done a multitude. They could have just not had kids. Like, there was a multitude of things that Hopper could have done that wouldn't have resulted in the death of his baby and trauma for his wife and the mother of that baby. But because, as I said, he's a shitbag, that's not what he did. So yeah, he did war crime. He did war crime. Didn't care about the effect that war crime had on the people it was designed to kill and hurt. Only cared about himself and his American friends and their children, and caused the death of his child. And then calls this poor woman up years later to tell her that he doesn't regret it. So there we have it, folks. Abuser, war criminal, shitbag. Shitbag, asshole, piece of crap man. I hate him. Then, of course, him and Joyce did end up together because why? Exactly? Because poor writing? Because not understanding women? Because cycle of abuse? I don't know. I don't know why. It's one of them. Maybe it's multiple. But Joyce deserves better than that. In fact, everyone in Hopper's life deserves better than him. And he should have either stayed dead or stayed in prison. And that's my take. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed making it, despite the suffering and technical difficulties. And it's been chaos. It's been chaos, but it's done now. It's done, and I just need to edit and get it out and be done with it and be at peace. Be at peace knowing that I've said all I needed to say about this man. Yeah, so I hope you liked coming on this journey with me, and by all means, put your opinions in the comments, but don't be a dick. Thanks. Thank you so much for not being a dick. If you want to see some bloops, stick around. If not, cheerio, and maybe I'll see you next time. Bye!
I wasn't cursed. I am the curse.
Whoop. Don't fall. Why aren't you focusing? Please focus on me. Better, he did become a policeman, investigator. That's not... I keep looking at... I'm sorry, I'm new. I keep looking over there where I can see myself. And I need to stop doing that.
I've got dust on my glasses. It's getting a bit toasty in here. I'm too tired for this. Right, I need to stop now. We'll come back tomorrow. Cut it off. I need to put that down. And
so it's been about 2 weeks since I found Fleur. Come on, you planned this. Tickly little nose. Tickly snores, tickly snores. Is this moved again? Maybe when I move this. That's annoying. Okay. Be focused. Thank you. Love having heart palpitations. It's so much fun. Low battery. That's okay, we're nearly done. But yeah, it basically does weaponized incompetence. Can I speak? Am I incompetent? Oh my goodness. I'm still wonky, aren't I? Never mind, we'll fix it in post. I forgot what I was saying. So, the fuck was I talking about? Something about Max, probably. I don't know. I got ADHD, guys. I don't know what I'm talking about ever. Can't expect me to remember things. Okay, look, I know I was midpoint. If it was important, I'll add it in voiceover. If not, I'm just gonna move on. Season 4. Then once he hears that... The fuck was that guy's name? Yuri? I think the guy's name's Yuri. The weird Russian. My camera once again did fill up its card right as I was filming this segment. So it's been at least an hour again since the last bit I filmed. I caught it that time. The camera just stopped and then started again. You must have a maximum runtime. That's very annoying. But now I know. Okay. I'm watching you, camera.